Good evening, folks. Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, I want to talk about the case of Detective Sergeant Frank Galdino, Yonkers police detective who passed away in a car accident back in December. What's the update? Let's talk about it.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Tuesday.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Let's discuss the case of Detective Sergeant Frank Galdino, the Yonkers police officer who passed away in a car accident on Tuckahoe Road. 16-year-old driver, unlicensed driver, hit the sergeant in his police cruiser, killing the officer instantly. You know, I was I got somebody sent me a clip of the guy, what is his name? Anderson, and let me know if something's wrong with the sound. He had to switch mics. I'm sorry. Anderson from Inside Yonkers. He had a discussion. I guess they were talking about it. He and another gentleman, and I decided to talk about it as well. And they said some interesting things there. Well, some comments were made on the podcast when they were doing it. So, and I wanted to discuss that and just see if there's any updates. Right. A lot of people have reached out to me in regards to this case, asking me if there is any update. What's going on with that? Whatever happened to the 16-year-old driver of the car? Is there going to be any justice? Why aren't we getting any information? And, these are answers that I don't have. And these are questions, I should say, I don't have the answers to. And so I want to discuss, though, maybe there's some information people may have now. You can comment on there. If you have any questions, comment there. But let's talk about this and just see what's going on. It's been quite some time. I want to play some audio here. This is from the Inside Yonkers guy, Mr. Anderson. Don't show the last name. I apologize. He is talking with another gentleman.
So let's get down.
In regards to this. A lot of people were interested in this and they watched this specific podcast that he did here. So I want to just play some of the clips.
Okay, so let's get down to the 16-year-old. Who is this 16-year-old, Josh? John, do you know?
No, I have no idea, but I think it's someone that is backed by powerful people.
So everyone hates dishes. Yes.
So John says he doesn't know who he is, but he believes that it's someone that's backed by powerful people or related to someone that's very influential. This is what people have told me. They've, even said that they may have some relationship to a certain school on Yonkers or off Yonkers Avenue there, which I've reported on the podcast. But people want answers. People think that it's not right that there's no information being given, the boy's name, none of the family members, the owner of the car, who's being held responsible. A police officer died who was on his way to retire. So if you don't know what I'm talking about Detective Sergeant Frank Galdino, Yonkers police officer, traffic detective on the traffic unit, who was traveling on Tuckahoe Road one day here in the city of Yonkers when a 16-year-old with only a permit was speeding in a BMW, a high-performance BMW, losing control just as Frank Galdino was driving over the overpass there on the Sprain Ridge, colliding with the officer's cruiser and into a beeline bus. The officer was killed instantly. The bus driver was also injured. The 16-year-old driver as well was injured. Some people have told me that he's in a vegetative state or that he was still in the hospital. I've had other reports that he was out of the hospital and that he was already going to rehab. So none of these reports or information that I've received has been verified, but I'm just letting you know what I have been told. I want to play another clip here of this. And a lot of people were upset because there was no information. No information has been provided. This is the scene here. Pardon me, it's a bit graphic there, but this is the blue BMW that was being driven by the 16-year-old. That's the officer's police car there, police cruiser, and obviously the Beeline bus. The impact was severe, and he hit the officer's car first. Then the Beeline bus hit that car. Fortunately, the 16-year-old didn't have a passenger. Imagine had he had a passenger. That's a point that they made on Inside Yonkers. Very bad accident. He must have been going very fast. And this is what has a lot of people in the city of Yonkers very upset. This isn't just, an accident that happened because, there might have been ice on the road or weather conditions, right? This is someone who was speeding, driving reckless, without a license, technically. And where were the adults? How did he obtain this vehicle, and why was he allowed to operate the vehicle without a license? So I want to play a little bit more of their clip.
For a fact, you can't say it was a break.
Listen to these politicians are all going down a lot sooner than we all think. That cop saved his life. He would have went right over.
That's a comment someone made on the
Jordanian connection. I mean, whoever this kid is from, whether he's Jordanian, Hispanic, whatever, like I said, wherever the hell he's from, he needs to be brought up for justice. A lot of people were talking about what he can be charged with. There's different, remember now.
So a lot of people were very upset during this podcast when he spoke about it. They were making comments such as, had he been a individual, a 16-year-old from the Southwest Side, a Hispanic, a black, kid, his name would have been put out there. He would have been arrested. They would have made a big deal of this, most certainly. And I honestly, genuinely believe the same. And I'm not trying to make this about race. And you know what? Let's make it about class, right? It's not about race. It's about class. It's about the connections. Because I believe that the individual, he wasn't a white person either. His skin color was probably the same as mine, his complexion, right? So, if it were someone of a lower class, didn't have connections, most certainly they would have been, put out there. Their name would have been put out there. They would have gone to jail. They would have been brought up on charges. They would have been trying to fry this 16-year-old had he been, of a lower class, right? Had he not been connected to the family and the individuals that he's connected to, who obviously are affluent. They're obviously affluent. They have connections. They've been managed to do things here in the city of Yonkers that it's very difficult to do, but they get it done, right? So they're affluent. And let's talk about that. It was only 5 months ago that similar incident happened in New York. Here again, a 16-year-old driver in deadly New York car crash did not have license, may have been asleep. The 16-year-old driver in a deadly crash in New York over the weekend that killed him and 4 other children did not have a license or permit and may have been asleep at the time of the accident. Westchester County Executive George Latimer said during a Monday press conference that the young driver, who was from Connecticut, did not have a Connecticut nor a New York driver's license or a permit, and that even if he did, he would not be able to drive legally at night in the state of New York. And he's referring to the fact that if he had a permit. The driver was identified. Here, and check this out. The driver was identified as 16-year-old Malik Smith. And I'm going to take a shot in the dark there and say Malik Smith is black. Latimer said while Anthony Billups Jr., 17, Zanaya Cross, 12, Chanel Cross, 11, and Andrew Billups, 8, were also identified as those killed in the crash. Wow. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Abrams Billups, 9, was able to escape the crash and was treated at a local hospital. So the point of this is that they identified the 16-year-old. Probably wasn't from an affluent family. Black kid. They identified him. George Latimer identified him. Where was George Latimer during this accident here when a detective sergeant was killed one that was on his way to retiring. And it's very unfortunate. So I just want to recap, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go over. A 16-year-old driver with a learner's permit he had for about 2 weeks. He only had it for 2 weeks. Was speeding in a BMW sports car when he lost control and crashed into a Yonkers police sergeant's vehicle, killing the officer. The victim of Thursday's deadly multi-vehicle collision was identified Friday as Sergeant Frank Galdino, who was made detective after his death, a 24-year veteran of the Yonkers Police Department who served as a supervisor assigned to the traffic unit. Galdino, a 53-year-old married dad of 2, was on duty and driving an unmarked 2012 Chevy Impala in Yonkers around 3:30 when the BMW M5 crossed into oncoming traffic and slammed first into the cop's vehicle and then into a Westchester County Beeline bus. The crash took place on Tuckahoe Road at the Sprain Parkway overpass. Galdino, who was 9 months away from retiring. And now this wasn't a shootout. This wasn't arresting an officer. I guess he was on the traffic unit. This was a traffic accident, right? 9 months away from retiring, was rushed to Jacoby Medical Center, where he was later pronounced dead from injuries to his head and body. The driver of the BMW, who had not been named because he is a minor. The driver, identified as 16-year-old Malik Smith. Is it because he died? Was hospitalized and is in critical condition at the time. During a press conference Friday, Yonkers Police Commissioner Christopher Sapienza revealed that the 16-year-old did not have a driver's license and was operating the luxury vehicle sports car belonging to a relative with only a learner's permit, which he obtained a little over 2 weeks ago. It looks like basically reckless driving, Sapienza said. You have a 16-year-old with a learner's permit without a driver's license driving at extreme high rate of speed in a very fast car. The Yonkers police released a video just showing moments before the collision. In it, the blue BMW 2020 M5 is seen speeding before apparently losing control and crossing the double yellow line into the path of Sergeant Galdino's car and bus. The driver of the Beeline bus suffered non-life-threatening injuries, and some of the 30 passengers were treated at the scene for minor injuries. Police said they have spoken to the owner of the BMW, who was described as a relative of the 16-year-old. The teen lives in Yonkers with his family and attends a private school. Yeah, there's a difference between the affluent class and the lower class. Justice is not the same. And when we talk about social justice and social equality or social inequalities, a lot of it has to do with class. While it appears to be about race, that's because statistically, the poor people are usually Hispanic and Blacks or some other minority group. But if it was largely white people that were impoverished, then they would be the ones not getting the justice, because the more affluents would run the government, right? We would run the show. We'd make the laws. We'd decide who's going to be identified in the paper and who's not. Who's a minor worth keeping private and who's a minor that we're just going to reveal. We revealed all the minors' names in that, right? So why is it that we're not getting any information? Should there be some kind of justice served here in this case? Should there be an example set? I mean, this could send the wrong message. I don't know. If you're 16 with a permit, take your chance. Because if you do kill someone, don't worry. No one will know who you were. But I found out all the information. I know who they are. Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano described Galdino as someone who was very, very well respected by his colleagues and the community he served. Where's the respect? Commissioner Sapienza said Galdino was a great friend and a great cop. The sergeant was honored in October for saving the life of a 3-year-old boy who lost consciousness during a funeral procession for a former corrections officer. Frank was a great guy, Sapienza said. He was a personal friend. He was an asset to this job. He was a credit to this job, and he was a credit to the community. And it is tragic, tragic loss for us. Galdino is survived by his wife, Lisa, and their 2 children, ages 14 and 20. May God bless you and your family. My condolences. That's a pain you never want to feel. To lose someone you love is a pain you never want to feel. Reckless driving is an actual misdemeanor in the vehicle and traffic law. The young man should at least be prosecuted in juvenile court, if nothing else. That is absolutely what should happen, but it will not. Yeah. You're right. You're right. There are reasons those learning to drive have a restricted license, usually called a learner's permit. They do not have enough driving experience, which can be a dangerous and deadly activity, especially if you're speeding in a souped-up sports car. That said, even learning drivers are expected to follow the rules of the road and exercise caution and common sense. So when a driver with a learner's permit gets into an accident, if they are at fault, there likely will be consequences in the journey to become fully licensed driver, depending on what caused the accident, whether they were violating requirements of the permit or more, the consequences may be serious. Their parents or guardian likely won't be off the hook either. It's almost a certainty. It's almost a certainty. Almost a certainty that their insurance rates will increase, right? Who knows? And that they will face justice. And if the accident is more than a minor fender bender, the parents too can face legal consequences. I mean, there you go. Learner's permit and driver's license. No matter what age you are, if you hold a learner permit, you may not drive unless accompanied by a supervising driver age 21 or older who has a valid license to operate the vehicle you are driving. For example, only a person with a motorcycle license may supervise a person learning to drive a motorcycle. You may not drive with a learner permit on any street within a park in New York City, on any bridge or tunnel under the jurisdiction of the Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, on the cross-county, Hutchinson River, Sawmill River, or Taconic State Parkways in Westchester County, in a DMV road test area. Probationary periods. Once you pass your road test or restored for a revoked license, blah, blah, blah. So, there are consequences, especially if you have an accident for reckless driving where you end up killing someone. So what do you mean there's no consequences in this situation? What example does that set? What message does that send? What message does that send to the kids, to the young people, to the affluent community? That you will get away with shit because you're affluent. It's not okay. It's not okay. And so I believe that if at the very least, the family and the citizens deserve justice. Frank Galdino was a police officer that protected this community, our city. He's one of our officers, our policemen. We, as the people, must stand for them and defend them the same way they defend us, right? So we must not forget, because we cannot allow this to happen. Affluent or not, you must face the consequences. It's not okay. It's not okay. I mean, they were going to tow my car because my registration was expired. Make me walk. That's a consequence. And a consequence that's self-inflicted, it doesn't count. Driver that killed police officer and crashed identified as unlicensed 16-year-old. Yeah. but he will not actually be identified. So I wanted to talk about that. Let me show the last clip here of these guys talking, Simon and Garfunkel here.
So you know this bus dragged that Beamer for a little bit. 50, as you can see where the sergeant's car was. I'm guessing that's where they actually made initial impact. Now, imagine there was somebody in that passenger seat of the Beamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have been done for.
We would have been talking about 2 fatalities here.
So we cannot allow this to happen again. And how do we prevent this? Well, we try to take measures to prevent this because we cannot guarantee this will not happen again. But we must take preventative measures, such as assuring that consequences in some form are given out, right? Are dished out. Goes along with the drunk driving. There's no consequences, then it happens again. Then people die. But even when people die, because there's no consequences, they still continue to do it. It's sad that after a 16-year-old boy is killed by a drunk driver, a city employee, that I would then capture a city employee parking his city vehicle, I don't know if it's his, a city vehicle, at a bar. And he went to go have drinks. Then he'd drive that city vehicle an hour to his home. After drinking, a whole hour of possibilities, of deadly possibilities, right? That kid had been driving recklessly for days before the deadly crash. That's what I've heard also. He should be held accountable instead of protected. Absolutely. How much do we love our police officers? We say we love them so much, but do we? We don't love them more than the affluent. I guess not. Right? So we must demand justice. We can't let this go. I'm going to utilize my platform to continue, and maybe the family has found some peace. But again, this affects all of us as a whole, the entire city, because if we do not demand justice when things like this happen, it will continue to happen. And it is the people of the city of Yonkers that will also suffer, if not suffer the most, as we've seen with 16-year-old CJ Hackett, right? Had there been consequences for other guys, maybe it would have never got to that point. You have to think about that. So we must demand justice. We must not allow this to be swept under the carpet or under the rug, be distracted, and carry on as if nothing happened. And it's great that he's been, memorialized with the, the vehicle that they got, and I think they have a museum for him. That's great. It's deserving. But more so, I'm sure that Detective Sergeant Frank Goldino would want justice. He would want justice. He would want there to be something done so that we could prevent this from happening again. But if we ignore it, then we're doing a disservice to Detective Sergeant Galdino. We're not honoring his name truly, are we? He was a law enforcement officer on the traffic unit. That was his job, to prevent this from happening. That's why his unit exists. And when it happens, his unit would bring justice. I mean, think about it. How can we allow no justice for a traffic unit supervisor who was killed by a reckless driver? That just doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics on Filter. I appreciate you supporting and joining me. Make sure you share the podcast. Let them know. And I get it. Some people are concerned. They want to watch anonymously. I will be sharing this podcast on the other pages. I'm only streaming on one. I'm trying to consolidate them. I want to get, my overall views on one page because that actually helps that one page a lot better than having it spread out. So I'm going to just be doing this on one page and then sharing on the other one. So folks, if you're not on Basement Politics with Freddie Vasquez, that's the main page. That's the page that you'll get the live stream right away. And I'll try to also share it. But again, I want, trying to aggregate my views and I want them all together in one because I have them spread out. So I have 300-400 here, and then I have another 300 there. And then, on YouTube, I'll have whatever. So, and then other Facebook pages that I have. So bear with me on that. The driver was a young Muslim man, and the mayor needs that demographic to turn out for him in November. And that is the affluent class. You have influence, right? You have influence. Influence is power. Influence is power here in the state of Yonkers. If you can influence a large number of people, you then will become very powerful. And that is why they have tried to discredit me, make me appear to be crazy, tried to ruin my reputation, hurt my business, to prevent me from generating money. But I'm here. And I'm not crazy. What's crazy is what we allow to happen. That's crazy. I heard the kid and his family are being protected by Spano. It may not be Spano. You have to understand. I think and I know people say, Freddie, you're just trying to protect the Spanos now. You just went soft on us. No, I'm not. I'm never. It's you have to understand that the Spanos do have power, but if, like you said, they need a voter, they need the demographic for votes, right? So if that demographic doesn't support them, then they don't have the power, right? So then essentially that demographic truly is the one that has the power. So this is what I'm trying to say to people. If we unite, we then have the power. We don't have to see them voted out. We can just unite and then move forward in a united fashion, and we will have all the power at that point. But we do not do this, right? We just have trouble. And more and more it's becoming difficult as they, learn to divide us through social media and all these different categories that they create, and put everybody in a different box. So that you're fighting for this group, you're fighting for that group, this person fighting for this group, and no one can ever unite. That's the goal of all of this madness that you see on TV, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's gun control, whether it's abortion, whatever it is, immigration. All of it is just to cause us to fight each other, to be at odds. But at the end of the day, we should be united. We want the same thing. We want great communities. We want great schools for our kids. We want to be safe. We want to have jobs. We want to make a decent wage so we can afford a decent home. All of us, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, but we'll never achieve that being at odds over other things that are truly not important in the majority of our lives. Right? So that's what it's all about. So it's not about that's why the Spanos having all this power. It's about, there's a group of individuals that are very influential. They have a lot of money. They are united. They are united. And they remain united because it's a cultural thing. Us Puerto Ricans, for whatever reason, never got that into our culture. I don't know why. But it's a cultural thing with these groups and some of this group or this specific demographic, and that's a large demographic. So the voting numbers there are large, but you also have an individual from that demographic, from that group, that is, very tricky with elections. You know what I mean? He's involved in all these, things going on with elections, right? So that's another thing. So, we can't always blame the Spanos. There are a lot of other factors. We just have to fully understand it, fully understand it. It's, one hand wash the other, both wash the face. as they say. Anthony, why wasn't the owner of the car charged, or at least the owner of the car identified, right? Shouldn't they have at least identified the owner? And will the insurance company pay for this? It could be where the insurance company says, well, you weren't, when you have an insurance policy, that's a contract, right? So you have to go by that contract, and if you don't, your claim could be denied. And so if he didn't have someone that was 20, a licensed driver, 21 years of older with him, then could that void the coverage of the insurance policy? Also, just a question I was thinking. Oh, just a thought I had. This kid is a minor unlicensed driver. They bear some legal responsibility. Also, what is the result of the tox test concerning the fatal vehicular accident on North Broadway, June 11th? I don't know. I haven't done it yet, but I'm trying to get some, a blood work sample. I don't know. Anthony, maybe. You're asking Anthony, right? He could know. Joan, Friends and Family Network is alive and well, pay to play. That's unfortunate, and again, it's all about wealth. It's all about class. It's all about influence. So, we have to think about that, right? So what do we do? Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to do that. Bear with me as I'm having this technical difficulty with this program here. I don't know what's up with my internet. But if I get any more updates on it, I will discuss. If you have any information, email me at politicwithfred@gmail.com, politicwithfred@gmail.com. I don't even know what's here. This is on you. So yeah, send me information there. You can be anonymous. Just use an anonymous email. If you're concerned with Freddie Vasquez, outing you as a source, email me anonymously, right? Create an email. I'm not going to do that, but if you feel, because trust me, I'm not players. It's the players. It's a game. The players are the players, right? But if you're a true, genuine, anonymous source, or even a person that's not anonymous but has been giving me information genuinely, right? And is, I've never outed these people, right? Never, ever. Players are players, right? Players, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? If you're a player, you got to expect that you're going to get shot at. I've been shot at. I've been hit. I'm going to throw shots back. So it is what it is. I don't feel bad for the players. But if you're truly a genuine anonymous source, right, you would never be outed. Just email me. Create an anonymous email, 123info, 914info, info914@gmail.com, at Yahoo, whatever it is. And, send me the information. Send me the information. Right, I'm going to verify first, so don't send me nonsense, because I've got a lot of nonsense. Imagine if I posted everything that they've sent to me. Imagine the crap that I would have posted, and I try to filter it. And some of the stuff that people might say, yo, that's, folks, let me tell you, it's not, it's honest. Listen, maybe the name is wrong. Maybe the relationship to the person is wrong. Maybe they're a cousin and not a sister. Maybe it's, Maria and not Myra, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. But for the most part, it's not like it's, I'm not the newswire here. I don't make things up. You know what I mean? I don't make things up. And a lot of insiders, are very upset, very frustrated. And they know that Basement Politics was their way of getting this information out. They knew that I had the balls to put it out there. Right. And so, and I'm not going to out them, it is what it is. It's facts and it's provable. So if, they want to go to court, we're going to, we'll prove it. Right. It's provable. So that's the thing with subpoena power and stuff like that. And I have information and documents that just, you know what I mean? So I don't want to even get into all that mess. So I'm just reporting justice. I just want justice where justice needs to be served. That's all I'm saying. All right. I'm not getting into all that other stuff, but just know that, I came prepared, man. I came prepared. I want it to be peace. Let's be peace. Let's be peace. Come on. Let's be friends. Patty cake. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. Can we be friends? For some reason, his pops is a Muslim. For some reason, same reason. Oh, his pops is also Muslim, and the mayor depends on those votes, even if there aren't all that many of them. Regarding Northborough, we'll talk offline. But if my kid calls the death of a cop, damn well their name would be blasted. Yeah, I'm sure, and and a lot of other kids, a lot of other parents' kids had, done this, their name would be blasted also. But, it's all about the who you support, who's supporting you, how much money they may contribute, they probably contribute a lot of money, to certain individuals, who knows, right? This cannot even be the Spanos. Like, we blame the Spanos. Maybe it's somebody higher up in the Spanos that they're cool with. Maybe they donated a lot of money to Kathy Hochul, right? And Kathy said, hey, listen, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? We don't want this to come out. So, it's not just point fingers at the Spanos. Oh man. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vass with Base, but it's true. It's a probability. It's not coming from the Spanos, right? It could be, because remember, Kathy Hochul was down here, and other individuals are down here in Yonkers getting support, and that community is large in Yonkers, but also large throughout the state of New York. So it's like with the Jewish community, I know, rabbis know each other, that you build a network, the rabbis call each other, and forget it. You got a whole bunch of, different, temples, Jewish people that are going to just vote because their rabbi told them to vote for this one, person, right? They got the okay, whatever they worked out, and that's what they do. So, it's a cultural thing, it's really a cultural thing, Stop spinning it. Who controls the chessboard? No. I'm just saying that it's probabilities. It's not about spinning. It's about probabilities. Like, it could be somebody else, right? It could be, or it could be, right? But I'm just saying, we always blame the Spanos. You always blame the Spanos. It's a lot of people in this matrix, right? Let's put them all out there. It's a lot of people in this, right? You don't identify the whole entire thing. So you take out one piece, and what? There's always going to be some other piece that's going to fill that in. You have to identify the entire scope, of this stuff, Who, what, when, and where. Let you know who the people are, John. They're your family. Just kidding. You know who they are, John. Why don't you just put the name out there, John? Because I'm sure you know who they are. Whether it's the Spanos, call it or not, the Spano administration are the ones that actively covering the truth from covering out. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it could be make a phone call, Spanos, we need you to, It's politics, man. That's how politics works. Everywhere. So again, until the people come out and unite, doesn't matter who you blame. It doesn't matter if for sure it's the Spano. What are you going to do about it, right? If the people don't come out, or if it's this person or that, what are you going to do about it? If you don't come out, right? What are you going to do? That's all I'm saying. What are you going to do? That's my thing. That's when I'm like, yo, what are you going to do, right? Where's the rallies? You know what I'm saying? Where's the outcry? Where's it coming out on the streets? Look what they did when they wanted to keep this place segregated, right, with the schools. Did you see how all the people were lined up? They filled up the city hall, first of all, and then they were lined up all along Nepperhan, where the overpass is now, chanting and screaming. It was so loud. So where is that same volume of people? Right? That's what I'm saying. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get a result. You're just going to be talking about it. Because when there's talk and no action, they know that. That's a pattern, right? Okay, let them talk. No action, right? And then when someone takes action and then they get targeted, not a lot of people come to that defense, right? So it needs to be, you know what I mean? It has to be a group effort. So that's what I'm saying. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's a shame my kid or anyone's kid, they would be crucified. You're right. Absolutely. I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. I don't care. I could not let it go at all. Because I couldn't even think, I couldn't get up every day the same anymore. Every day, I'm not getting up the same anymore. Right? Oh, well, I mean, if it was my family member that died, you're talking about if it was your son that did that, you would be, I don't know. Would you? Would you be, John? Maybe you might be protected too. Depending what year it is, right? Depending what year it was. At this point, yeah, they probably would come for you. But I met your son, John. Very nice kid. Very good kid. I swear. John, your son is a very, respectable kid. I like them. I hope my son is like that. I mean that genuinely 100,000%, man. He's very good kid, man. Good kid, quiet. Respects John. John don't gotta tell him things twice. Always there. We went to go get the ham and the stuff for the food handout that we were doing. I remember, my kids, I got to tell my son, yo, did I not tell you to go? Can you help me? So shout out to your son. Very, very a good kid, man. So he would never, that would, God forbid, could never see him in that situation. Maybe I'll pod about the Sergeant Goldino tragedy on Sunday at 7 p.m. There you go. I'm going to start, I want a promotional fee. Just kidding. Offer some unique perspective. I'm considering naming my pod Blue Truth. Oh, the Blue Truth 2.0. Blue Truth 2.0. There you go, Hezzy. Where one man leaves off, another man picks up. The Blue Truth with the Unfit LT. What do you think? Do you, man? I think is interesting. I think it's definitely going to catch attention with that name, Blue Truth with the Unfit LT. What is that sandwich called? BLT, not BLT, not the Unfit BLT, right? No one protects me except God and your family, John. I mean, they try to, family protects you, right? I'm sure. The Unfit LT lives on. You guys, the two of you, John and Ant, you guys should do a show. Why don't you guys do a podcast together? Johnny Limo and the Unfit LT. You guys should do that. I think that a lot of people would probably watch that. I'm sure a lot of people watch it. John, what do you think? Do it over there from your what do you call that thing you got there? Not a gazebo. What do you call that thing? A tiki bar. Do it from the tiki bar. I think a lot of people watch it, and and John, you don't have to say nothing. You just kind of be there. Let Anthony do all the talking. You kind of just you kind of bring some humor. You could do like a wine thing, with like kind of like drink champs. I think that would be I think that people I truly genuinely believe people will watch that. We're doing it soon, waiting on my counselor. I believe that people will watch that. I do. I genuinely believe it. I believe you guys will do good with that. And you guys have a lot of information. John, you go back for a long time here in the city of Yonkers, man. You got a lot of info. The Unfit me, right? You got a lot of info, John. The Unfit LT, the village. No, I'm not the village idiot. Then Johnny Kilo walk into a bar. No. I'm not the village idiot. That's what Brian calls me, the village idiot. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But listen, this village idiot, they love to talk about me. I mean, it's a strange thing having people know you that you don't know or you never met before. But it's even more strange having people you don't know, you've never met or even seen talking about you negatively. Like, dang, man. That's like, you don't even know me. I never even seen you. I don't know what your face looks like, but that's part of doing the podcast, right? Maybe maybe Netflix will put it up. Yeah, you put it together. Listen, Anthony, you could write something that you could write a script and pitch it to Netflix. I already got my idea. I'm going to sit over there at the balcony overlooking the lake, and I'm going to write my script once it's all said and done. City of Hills, where nothing is on the level. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for watching me. Make sure you share. Let people know about this podcast. And if you got information, again, send it to me. politicwithfred@gmail.com. Create a fake or anonymous account, I should say, and then delete it. Once you send me the info, delete it. Right? Here's what you could do also. If you're very, very, very scared, get a throwaway phone that gets internet. Go somewhere, into the Bronx if you're really that concerned, in the Bronx somewhere where they have free Wi-Fi, maybe like a Starbucks, right? Log on to that Starbucks, right? Don't go inside though. There's cameras inside the Starbucks. So stay on the outside, right? Just close enough to where you can get the Wi-Fi. Log on there, send me the info, delete the account, log off, throw away the phone. That's how you can do it. And they won't trace you. And we won't know who you are. Sound good? I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a beautiful night. Yeah, John. Yeah. See, look. All right, since you brought it up, I'm going to mention it, right, John? I got to finish my rehab at my new showroom first, right? Oh, you're going to do it like that? Do you want me to say it? Oh, no. See, I don't do that. You see? I had the respect. I will put you on and say, listen, I'm just wanted to verify this information. No, right there. And that's it. I don't throw it out there just because I heard it, right? And if it's false, and then, that could just It's not it's negative. It's false, and it does damage still, even if it's false. So, but that's a funny play on that, John. If you want to tell it, you tell it. I'm not going to tell it. Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a beautiful night. Take care. Enjoy. So again, we must get justice for Detective Baldino. I believe that's what he would want. Again, as a traffic supervisor, sergeant in the traffic division, that was his job. That's why the unit was created, to prevent situations like this. And so for it to just go unpunished, I guess it goes against what the whole traffic unit is about, right? And what they're there to do. And it also sends a message that it's not okay to do this. Think twice. Sometimes when you are at the affluent level, you get a sense of entitlement and you feel invincible and you think you can do whatever you want. And I know. I was in this situation. I had my best friend. His dad worked for the city. Maybe maybe why? He was only 15 years old. So was I. And we would go everywhere. I don't even think he had a learner's permit. Neither did I. And he would let me drive. And we did this until we turned 16 and got licensed. So, yeah. But we weren't speeding. We weren't driving reckless. But we were not licensed. And he was affluent. His dad worked for the city. He was the city planner. See what happens when you work for the city?
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were.
Oh man, I gotta love it.